Good evening and welcome. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I'm pleased to welcome you to tonight's May 11th, 2022 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. In just a few minutes, we will begin the open forum portion of the meeting when members of the public have the opportunity to share their comments with the town board. When we get there, and if you are now watching us on YouTube or on our cable access channel, you'll have to log into the Zoom in order to actually access and participate in the open forum. There are detailed instructions for accessing the Zoom meeting, all on the Town of Brighton webpage at www.townofbrighton.org. Now, we continue to make our meetings accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community with our ASL interpreters. As we usually do tonight, Allie and Heather are our ASL interpreters. Thank you both. As a reminder, the agenda for tonight's meeting, as well as all the materials that we will be reviewing in making any decisions that we make tonight, all of those are available on the Town of Brighton webpage. We'll start the meeting with a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do have several proclamations on the agenda tonight. And I will start by recognizing May as Asian American and Pacific Islanders Heritage Month. Whereas Asian American and Pacific Islanders have helped to shape the history of the United States with their rich cultural and scientific heritage. Whereas May is designated as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month to celebrate the achievements and contributions of people of Asian and Pacific Islander descent, to commemorate the arrivals of the first Japanese immigrant on May 7, 1843, and the completion on May 10, 1869, of the first transcontinental railroad across North America, which could not have been built without the labor of upwards of 20,000 Chinese workers. Whereas an estimated 25 million people identify as Asian American and Pacific Islander, including Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, the first woman and African and South Asian American to serve in this role, marking a historic moment in our nation's history. Whereas this celebratory month provides an opportunity to listen and learn about the diversity within Asian American and Pacific Islander communities, and to build an appreciation for their struggles and their accomplishments. Whereas discrimination and racist violence against Asians sadly have a long history in our country, at no time more starkly demonstrated than by the internment of Japanese American families during World War II. And whereas today, Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have experienced a horrifying rise in violent, racist attacks because of purposeful misinformation about the COVID-19 virus. Whereas Brighton is home to many families hailing from Asia or the Pacific Islands, and their contributions to all segments of our community are recognized and applauded. We celebrate them. And as we celebrate them, so shall we also vehemently reject any racist or biased sentiment or action against them. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and the members of our town board do hereby proclaim and recognize May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the town of Brighton, and ask that our residents not only share in this observance, but also celebrate the fact that the town of Brighton is built on diversity and the ideal of inclusion and acceptance. And this proclamation, as you see on your screen, is signed this 11th day of May, 2022. Our next proclamation recognizes National Nurses Week. Whereas National Nurses Day launches a week-long recognition of nurses that culminates on May 12th, the birthday of Florence Nightingale, widely acknowledged as the founder of professional nursing over 200 years ago. Whereas with over 3 million working nurses in the United States today, nurses make up the highest percentage of the healthcare workforce, supporting our health and nurturing us when we are most vulnerable. Whereas we've witnessed the caring, stamina, and bravery of nurses in the face of COVID, and when wave after wave of critically ill patients flooded hospitals during the worst of the pandemic, nurses persevered. And whereas as frontline warriors, nurses worked to exhaustion across the nation, even as retired nurses rose to the call for volunteers and joined their ranks, demonstrating the tremendous level of dedication shared by those who choose a nursing career. And whereas here in Brighton, nurses have conducted food drives and helped the community in many ways, further responding to needs created by the pandemic. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, on behalf of myself and the members of the town board, do hereby extend our tremendous gratitude to nurses and ask our residents to thank their local nurses and continue to protect them and others by remaining vigilant against the spread of COVID and by following public health officials' guidelines. This proclamation is signed the 11th day of May, 2022. Next is a proclamation celebrating National Police Week. Whereas since 1962, National Police Week has been celebrated to recognize and honor police officers and pay special tribute to those who have lost their lives in the line of duty. And whereas the important work of our police has been particularly evident during the ongoing COVID pandemic, as they too have remained resolute in their duty to serve during a time of prolonged worldwide uncertainty. Whereas police work directly with the community, knowing they may find themselves in peril at any moment, some suffering debilitating injuries and others losing their lives. Whereas Brighton police officers approach every call with a high level of professionalism, serving this community with respect, dedication, and distinction, which is a hallmark. Each of those characteristics are hallmarks of this outstanding police department. And whereas we're proud of our Brighton police officers for their commitment to community-based policing and their work on recognizing and addressing mental health issues in a safe and productive manner. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and on behalf of the members of the Brighton Town Board, do hereby proclaim and recognize May 11th through May 17th as National Police Week in the town of Brighton. And we sincerely thank our police officers for all the sacrifices they make to keep us safe. Again, this proclamation is signed this 11th day of May, 2022. And finally, we have a proclamation celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Friends of Brighton Memorial Library. Whereas libraries are essential repositories of knowledge whose public purpose is fundamental to democracy, from promoting an informed citizenry to building community. And whereas the Brighton Memorial Library is a cornerstone of the town, as an institution, it reflects our community values of learning and teaching, provides a place for sharing interests and making friends, and thrives in large part due to the volunteers who comprise the Friends of the Brighton Memorial Library. Whereas the Friends play a critical role in supporting the library through fundraising, programming, and capital improvements. They make the annual book sale a treasured event, the Book Sandwiched In series an edifying lunch break, and the recent interior renovations of the entrance, just one of their most recent innovations and improvements. Whereas the volunteers who comprise Friends of the Brighton Memorial Library dedicate their time and talents to the continued improvement of the library, and the Friends board members continue a tradition of thoughtful, steady leadership from which we've all benefited. Whereas today, and actually yesterday, I'll get to that in a moment, we celebrate the 50th anniversary of Friends of Brighton Memorial Library. We thank all the phenomenal volunteers, past and present, who have helped make the Brighton Memorial Library a shining example of excellence in the Monroe County library system and a welcome, relevant space for community in the town of Brighton. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Brighton Town Supervisor William W. Maley, and the members of our town board do hereby congratulate Friends of the Brighton Memorial Library on their 50th anniversary. We thank them for their 5 decades of giving back for the public good and honor them for their dedication to the promotion and preservation of this public jewel, the Brighton Memorial Library, for current and future generations. Now, this proclamation was signed the 10th day of May, and it was signed yesterday because it was presented last night to the Friends as well as other guests that were there at a ceremony honoring the 50th anniversary of the Friends of the Brighton Memorial Library. We had a representative from Senator Cooney's office there also presenting a proclamation. Councilmember Chris Warner was there, and a great number of people who were there that are patrons and friends of the library. Last night I said that every library has friends, and many libraries have capital F friends organizations, but very few have a capital Friends of the Library group that has done as much as the Friends of the Brighton Memorial Library have for 50 years. And I do want to thank everyone who's a member of the Friends of Brighton Memorial Library, to the board members, and especially to all the volunteers that give so much of their time to make the Brighton Memorial Library the jewel that it is. Chief, obviously we're not here together in person, but I will make sure that you get the Police Week proclamation, and please share our gratitude with the department. Just following up briefly on the Asian American Pacific Islanders Month proclamation, I do want to thank everyone that participated in the community input meeting on Brighton's idea plan last week. I know Robin will be talking more about the plan and that meeting, but I do want to remind folks out there that if you haven't had a chance to read the plan yet, you can do so at www.brightonidea.org. And when you do that, if you have comments to the plan, you can give those comments, give us your input right there on the web page. This is a very important initiative for us, and we do want to hear from the community. And again, I know Robin will be reinforcing that as well in just a moment. A lot of proclamations, a lot of things going on as we're getting back out to more community organizations. I had the great privilege this past Sunday on Mother's Day of presenting yet another proclamation as part of Mother's Day services at Enid Missionary Baptist Church to Sister Evelina Lee, who has been a member of Enid for 75 years and has an extraordinary record of service, not only to the church, but also to the broader community in many, many ways. Ms. Lee lives in Brighton, as does her daughter, many of you know, Brenda Lee, and her son-in-law, the Reverend Lawrence Hargrave. I so appreciated the invitation from Senior Pastor Dr. John McReynolds and Church Clerk Elaine Stevens to be a part of that wonderful ceremony. Rochester Mayor Malik Evans and Monroe County Legislator Reverend Ricky Frazier also presented proclamations in honor of Sister Lee. And again, talking about recognition, last night the Brighton Crossing Guards received Brighton Believer Awards in a ceremony held by the Brighton Central School District at a ceremony held at the start of the Board of Education meeting. Those crossing guards serve in good weather and in bad, but always with the safety of our students in mind, but even more than that. They connect with those students in so many ways. They are really a part of the support system that the school district and the community has to lift up our students here in Brighton. The crossing guards are funded within the town's budget and are included as part of the police department, although they are not sworn police officers. We work in partnership with the school districts to provide crossing guard services at the 12 corners and elsewhere in town where students regularly cross busy streets. And we are truly grateful for the service that they provide. And thank you so much for the school district for recognizing them as Brighton believers, embodying the ideals of Brighton Believes. Speaking of our schools, I want to remind you that next Tuesday, May 17th, is school election day. All 5 school districts that serve different parts of the town of Brighton have Board of Education elections. Some have additional propositions that will be on the ballot for public approval. If you're not sure where to vote in your school district or want more information about the candidates or the propositions on the ballot, go to your respective school district's webpage and there will be information there. Finally, I want to just quickly remind everyone that we do have free test kits, COVID test kits available right in the lobby here at Brighton Town Hall. Right in the front lobby. You don't even have to go to the information desk any longer. They're right out with all the various publications that are available to the public. They're also available at the Brighton Memorial Library, the Brighton Police Department, and Brighton Recreation. COVID rates are still very high in Monroe County. So if you feel symptoms, or if you're planning on being in contact with someone immunocompromised, I do encourage you to test yourself. We want to make that as easy as possible for you. All right, we will now continue and go into the open forum. The open forum is an opportunity to address the town board about matters, whether or not they're on our agenda tonight, but matters that relate to the town of Brighton. We may not respond to your questions, particularly if they relate to matters that are not on the town board's agenda this evening, but I do want to assure the community that we listen and we take your input seriously. Now, as I mentioned before, if you would like to address the board during the open forum, you must join this meeting on Zoom if you haven't already done so. Please use the raised hand function in Zoom if you do intend to speak during the open forum, and you'll be called on and unmuted and allowed to speak. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to address the board, and I'll advise you when you have 30 seconds left in your time. When speaking, please address your comments to the board, not to other speakers. And please do not use the open forum to make personal attacks of any kind. Our goal here tonight, and our goal during the open forum that we hold at every town board meeting, is to give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with the board and for us to be able to listen thoughtfully to your input. So Bridget, is there anyone here who has raised their hand and has indicated an interest in speaking during the open forum tonight?
We do not have any raised hands. We do have one visitor.
Okay.
Stephanie Medeiros.
And if there is nobody seeking to speak to us during the open forum, we will move on to the order of business.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a second?
Second, Jason.
Thank you, Jason. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Tonight, we do have one public hearing on the agenda, and I will ask the town clerk if the legal notice required has been given in this public hearing.
Reopening my email. Yes, Supervisor. The notice was in the April 29th edition of the Daily Record, as well as the website and message board.
Thank you, Dan. Notice having been given, I hereby declare that this public hearing concerning the proposed expenditure of consolidated sewer district funds totaling $166,720 pursuant to town law section 202B is open. I'm going to ask first town attorney Ken Gordon to say a few words about why we're holding this hearing, and then we may also hear from our sewer commissioner, Mike Guyon. Ken?
Supervisor, this is a matter actually that was handled by bond counsel, not by me. So I would suggest if we want a good explanation for what we're doing, we would have either Commissioner Guyon or Finance Director Paula Parker provide an explanation to the board.
Sounds good. Thank you. Mike, I see you unmuted, so I'm going to turn to you.
I will give it a shot, Bill. How's that? So there's several expenditures that are proposed from the sewer district. And as you said, as part of Town Law 202B, any expenditures from a special district are going to require public hearing to gain public input. The expenditures from the district include a small dump truck. It's a 1-ton dump truck with, we're looking to purchase a stainless steel bed. The cost of that dump truck is about $65,000. We're also looking to install LED lights in the parking lot over at Operations Center. It's the employee parking lot. The total cost of that improvement is estimated to be about $80,000. The sewer district will chip in, I guess, or pay about 33% of that improvement. And then the final purchase is an excavator. The excavator will be a rubber tracked excavator to lessen the damage to the roads and to the yards and things like that when we get in there. It'll be a swing boom. It'll have a dig depth of about 14 feet. The total cost of that excavator is about $225,000. Again, we estimate that the sewer district will use about 33% of that. The total cost that will be expended from the sewer district is as you mentioned earlier, $166,720. There are sufficient funds in the budget. We will not have to bond any of this money.
Thank you, Mike. Paula, anything you want to add to that?
Oh, I believe the commissioner hit every highlight he should have.
Sure did. Thank you. The one thing I'll note is that under seeker, this is a type 2 action. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the board concerning this public hearing? Hearing none, I declare this public hearing to be closed. And Christine, can I have a motion?
Happy to do so on the matter of the expenditure of consolidated sewer district funds totaling $166,720. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Actually, is prepared by bond counsel.
As prepared by bond counsel.
Second, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Any further discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mailey.
Aye. Matters of communications, we have 2 letters. I want to start, can I get a motion to receive and file those 2 items of correspondence, please?
So moved.
Second, Robin.
The first letter is from Bruce Alch, Director of the Office of Consumer Services of the Public Service Commission. It's a response to the complaint filed by the town of Brighton and Rochester against Icon Energy, DBA Source Power, and RG&E. Almost 3 months after the town of Brighton filed its complaint against RG&E and Icon Energy, DBA Source Power, with the State Public Service Commission for the billing errors made by both RG&E and Source Power. And I really need to stress that both RG&E and Source Power made significant billing errors to certain customers here in Brighton, specifically customers in our community solar program. But it took almost 3 months before we finally got this response from the Public Service Commission. And let me be more specific about it, because what I received, this letter specifically describes itself as a, quote, interim response. So it at the very least gives us some information about where the PSC is on this matter. I would note that although it's an interim response, it specifically says, quote, the details of the complaint were clearly explained and defined in the letter sent by the town, which was used to generate cases against both RG&E and Source. So the PSC is acknowledging that they have initiated cases against both RG&E and Source Power in response to our letter of complaint. The PSC further indicates that RG&E has committed to manual billing of community solar accounts to correct errors made when they were billing using their automated software during the period of time that the PSC continues to investigate this matter. The PSC that says that Source acknowledged that it made billing errors by over applying solar credits. But let me also say that in my opinion, the responses to date from RG&E and from Source Power are both inadequate. RG&E doesn't explicitly acknowledge their own billing errors, although at least they have implicitly acknowledged that errors were made because they did eliminate automated billing of these community solar accounts in favor of manual billing. Unfortunately, though, it seems that RG&E doesn't have the resources, whether it's personnel or otherwise, to really properly engage in manual billing, because we continue to hear customers, RG&E customers, certainly customers on community solar and maybe others, who have not received bills from RG&E for several months. That's obviously simply not acceptable. I would have expected more by now from RG&E, whether or not the PSC has completed these cases. You would expect at the very least, most companies are pretty good about sending bills out for their services. Not here. I do note that this is an interim response, but RG&E and Source Power have a lot of work left to do. And so does the PSC, in my judgment. Now, for those of you that are interested in tracking the status of this case, and you can be assured that we will be doing that as well, I would encourage you to follow the instructions. I'm not going to try to read them all here during the meeting because they're fairly long and complicated. But the second to last paragraph of that letter from the PSC from Mr. Bruce Alch, dated April 27th, includes a file number and instructions for how to get in and review the status of the complaints represented by that file number. That's all in the second to last paragraph of that April 27th letter, which is part of your packet tonight. I do want to thank my assistant, Bridget Monroe, who continues. At first she was getting calls from people who were getting these large unexplained adjustments. Now she's getting calls, a lot of them are from people who still can't understand why the problem hasn't been fixed, or from people that aren't getting bills. But whatever the reason, she's getting a lot of calls and she's spending a lot of time answering them, or answering them to the best of her ability with the limited information that the parties have given her. I also want to acknowledge Rochester, who has been doing the same. They've been handling a lot of these calls and have been very helpful in sharing the information they have with me and with Bridget. I will assure you that the town of Brighton, working with Rochester, and as I mentioned, Rochester joined us in making the formal complaint in the first place. We will continue to advocate for our residents in this matter until a satisfactory resolution has been reached. So that's the first letter. Sorry for going on about that, but this is such an issue that has impacted people. I wanted to share it. We also have communication from the Sustainability Oversight Committee asking the town board on behalf of the SOC, which was recently contacted by representatives of Heat Smart Monroe and Color Brighton Green, asking the town board to endorse participation in a clean heating and cooling mini campaign supporting the Clean Energy Communities program through NYSERDA that the town of Brighton is a member of. Successfully completing this campaign would generate 500 points under the Clean Energy Community program, which helps us win the award of grants from NYSERDA. You'll see in there, it's a program that will inform residents about high efficiency heat pump and geothermal heating and cooling systems, heat, home insulation and weatherization, managed by Heat Smart Monroe And I would note particularly the heat pump, geothermal heating and cooling systems are going to be critical components of how this community and others are going to dramatically reduce our carbon emissions while still keeping our homes warm in the winter and cold and cooled in the summer. So we've been asked to provide support, and I anticipate that our next meeting, we will have the opportunity to do that. So those are the two items we have on our agenda. We have a motion to receive and file those items. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Next, we have our 4 committee reports, starting with Community Services Committee. Robin?
Thank you, Bill. The Community Services Committee has not met in the intervening timeframe since our last town board meeting, but I do have some updates from our Parks and Recreation Department heads. From our Recreation Department, winter spring registration is ongoing, so check out all of the recently added spring programs and do sign up early online to secure your spot. Full program offerings and registration can be found on the Recreation Department website. That is www.townofbrighton.org/rec, REC. And I just wanted to mention that in conjunction with the Brighton Central School District, we held our first clean sweep since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic this past Saturday, May 7th, and we had over 100 participating community members. Thank you so much for taking the time to come out and remove literally several tons of trash from our streets, byways, thoroughfares, and trails. It's always appreciated by the town that we have this event. And again, I want to thank our many sponsors and the event progenitor, former council member Luis Novros, for the incredible support of this longstanding Brighton tradition. Our summer program registration for playground camps began on Thursday, April 12th at 9 a.m. and the non-resident registration will begin on Tuesday, May 17th at 9 a.m. So I do believe we have some openings, so please do check that out so you can make sure that you get into this very popular program. The registration for all other programming began on Tuesday, May 3rd for residents, and it will begin next Tuesday, May 17th for non-residents. And our recreation department would like to remind members of the community that if you have a program idea or skill to share with the community, you can always contact the recreation department to find out how to be added as a program instructor. You can complete the new program proposal, which is on the website, or give the recreation department a call at 585-784-5260 extension 0. And then from our Parks Department, winterized facilities are officially open for the season, or formerly winterized facility. The Parks Department is busy preparing facilities and fields for spring operation. Seasonal labor began shifts beginning the start of May. Field supplies are being inventoried, ordered, and delivered. Mowing contractors for the parks began earlier this month. Our July 4th celebration will return to full scale this year, and vendor contracts are being executed and approved. Athletic field requests are at an all-time high for youth organizations, and the Parks Department is working hard to accommodate and manage all of those requests. And then our Brighton Little League's opening weekend parade occurred this past Saturday as well, May 7th at Meridian Center Park. Congratulations to all participants. We have some upcoming events, but I did just want to mention, as Bill has, one last event that occurred this past week. I want to congratulate the members of the Idea Board on the success of the May 3rd Community Forum to comment on the Draft Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Action Plan. Job well done. In particular, I want to thank our Idea Board co-chairs, Sarah Johnstone and Dr. Rashid Mohammed, for masterfully guiding the event, and the members of the Idea Board who helped facilitate the event. We had between 30 and 40 community members who took time out on a beautiful evening to offer comment on the plan. I would be remiss if I also didn't thank our new DEI officer, Miriam Moore-Burt, for her participation in the program, as well as the other members of the town board. And I think the all hands on deck nature of this event truly reflects the importance of DEI to the town of Brighton. If you did happen to miss that event, you can still comment on the Idea Board website, and that, as Bill mentioned earlier, is www.brightonidea.org. Now, this upcoming weekend, we have our semi-annual electronics recycling and secure document shredding event. That will be at the Brighton Highway Department parking lot, 1941 Elmwood Avenue, on Sunday, May 15th, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. The next meeting of the Community Services Committee will be next Wednesday, May 6th or May 18th, excuse me, at 9:30 a.m. at the Brookside Recreation Center. As always, members of the public are invited to attend, and we look forward to seeing you there. That's all I have, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Finance and Administrative Services, Jason.
Yes, the Finance and Administrative Services Committee met last Wednesday, May 4th. Each of the items we discussed in committee appear on tonight's town board agenda and will be discussed in further detail. Our next meeting is on Wednesday, May 18th. We meet at 8:30 in the morning in the auditorium at the town hall, and the public is invited to attend.
Wednesday, May 18th is going to be another busy Wednesday morning. Thank you, Jason. Public Safety Committee, Chris.
Thanks, Bill. Our Public Safety Committee met yesterday, and we got a report from first the Brighton Ambulance that indicated there were 720 requests for service, of which 463 were within the Brighton Ambulance District, and 276 Brighton residents received services. They responded to 79 mutual aid requests as well. And the total of volunteer ambulance requests for service up to May 1st is 2,728, which is a 22% increase from 2021. So we're still getting back up to normal levels after the pandemic, which we're still within, but at the height of the pandemic at least. Brighton Fire Department reported on 696 calls, but no working fires. Brighton Public Works reported that they had the chip seal program continuing with work on Lac DeVille Boulevard to be completed May 9th through 10th. So I believe that would be done by now. And they're moving towards Penhurst Road. There'll be more residential streets that will receive that chip seal treatment. And of course, lawn and garden debris pickup continues. Brighton Police has had 19,770 calls for service to the end of April. They've done a number of training days, including evidence technicians, crime lab personnel, fingerprint training, and also of interest in particular was the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network. But that is a program whereby gun cartridge casings can now be traced. Which was a matter of some interest and discussion at the meeting. They indicated that the U-Text, U-Drive, U-Pay program was in effect from April 4th to 11th, and 76 tickets were issued. A matter of some, I suppose of note, but the driver in the November 27, 2019 vehicular death on Edgewood Road has pled guilty to 2 counts of criminally negligent homicide and assault in the 3rd degree. Also, the Monday speeding in school zones and Tuesday seatbelts and child restraints, etc. A program was in effect for April 25th to 29th, and there were 89 tickets and 4 suspended operators and 1 DWI arrest indicated. The prescription take back event on April 30 resulted in 395 pounds of medications being taken back for proper disposal and to keep them out of the landfills. June 5th will be our bike rodeo by the police department. Please arrive at about 9:45, and that's before the farmers market there at the school. Apparently, the bike rodeo will be next door, though. However, at the church parking lot. The Click It or Ticket Week will be May 23rd through June 5th, and there'll be extra patrols out looking for folks driving without seatbelts. July 7th through August 25th will be the Citizens Police Academy, and look for the registration information on the Rec Department site. Henrietta Fire District reported that they'd had a 72 increase in calls over the same period last year, with a total of 2,335 incidents in the Henrietta district, of which 248 incidents were in the town of Brighton. They've got 4 new recruits coming out of the academy, and they'll begin shifts on the 23rd of May. And the pre-construction design meeting was completed on the new pumper for the West Henrietta Road Station, with anticipated delivery in October or November. Commissioner Guyon reported that he had followed up with the Monroe County DOT for the request to reduce the speed limit, as well as to reduce the striping and left turn requests along Winton Road, but the response to the study may take 3 or 4 months to be received. Speeding on Browncroft Boulevard has been followed with the use of the LED sign and smart trailer. And interestingly, the westbound traffic seemed to be fairly well within speed limits, with only some exceptions. But the eastbound traffic towards Penfield Road seems to be a matter of some concern. 28% of the traffic there was clocked at 46 to 65 miles per hour, which is a significant violation. And there'll be multi-agency enforcement of that. The reduction of speeds on Buckland, Newton, and Danbury Circle is on tonight's agenda to reduce that to 25 miles per hour. Country Club of Rochester is having their June 30th fireworks, and they'll be contacting residents with postcards. Next meeting will be June 14th, Tuesday at 0800 hours in the auditorium. The public is invited. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Chris. And Christine, Public Works Committee.
Public Works. First, before I jump into Public Works, I'd like to give a double plug for the Citizens Police Academy. It is a tremendously valuable learning experience for community members. So if you can carve out the time to attend that academy, you learn so much about how Brighton Police are working with the community. And it puts to rest some misconceptions about policing that folks may have. Plus, you get to engage with our awesome police department.
And Chief, if I could, I just want to, I believe that next Community Police Academy coming up is primarily targeted towards our senior community. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Excellent. So those of you with lots of life experience get even more by enrolling in the academy. So Public Works Committee met last week, May 3rd, on probably the busiest day in May in Brighton. Matters addressed began with an update on town hall evaluation. As you might anticipate, the building is showing its age, and so InX Architecture has completed a user group survey to assess the space needs and efficiency of the existing town hall configuration. In-person interviews to review the survey responses provided by each department will begin in a couple of weeks. So it's a large process of assessing how best to utilize the space in that building and how to maintain it well. In new business, the University of Rochester Laser Lab conservation easement matter was addressed. University of Rochester is offering a conservation easement as part of the development of the addition to the laser lab facility in West Brighton. Town board action will be required to accept the proposed conservation easement and to authorize the supervisor to sign it. The town attorney and town staff have reviewed the proposed easement maps and the description, and they find them acceptable. If folks are interested in seeing that, you can reference the website for the drawings and for conceptual understanding of the addition and its impact on the environment in that part of town. RG&E was a matter of discussion during Public Works. This for a very positive thing. The RG&E owned Cobra Head Streetlight LED conversion program is likely to be taken up. Department of Public Works was approached by RG&E, who informed the department about the program. As part of this conversion program, RG&E will convert existing Cobra Head streetlights to LED lights and still maintain ownership of the street lighting system. And the town will realize savings in energy use because of the upgraded equipment. The unexpired life cost to convert the RG&E owned Cobra Heads in the town is $25,837.62, which was, to the minds of most attending the meeting, was a reasonable cost because some of the Cobra Heads are located within lighting districts. The project costs will be split by each district containing Cobra Heads if we adopt this program. The Public Works Committee is interested in pursuing the project, and the town staff will work with the town attorney and the finance department staff to determine a path forward for the project. The Elmwood Avenue cycle track status. We're still eager to see a commitment to reconfiguring Elmwood Avenue for all users, not just high-speed vehicles moving from one end of Brighton to the other. The project was removed from the Federal Infrastructure Investments and Job Act. However, the town continues to pursue potential funding options for the project using the state's TAP CMAQ programs. And if I were tested right now on what that stood for, I would fail. But they are a funding source. The Genesee Transportation Council is awaiting an announcement from the governor's office regarding this funding, and the city of Rochester is currently in the process of completing their end of the cycle track on Elmwood Avenue. So it only makes sense that we secure the funding and get the work done to make that street complete. And I will say it again and again, the state has designated Elmwood Avenue a state bicycle route. It's Route 5, and no one in their right minds rides a bicycle on that street and expects to do so safely. So we're going to get it done. In the matter of the Winton Road left turn study, you heard some update from public safety. Just to reiterate that Stan Tech previously prepared a proposal to investigate the feasibility of adding left turn lanes and or protected left turn movements on Winton Road at Monroe Avenue. Stan Tech confirmed that the New York State Department of Transportation will not entertain the installation of left turn lanes, even if they are recommended by the Stan Tech study. The state DOT's position on this matter is that the implementation of left turn arrows without lane improvements, such as road or intersection widening, could not operate efficiently. I think they lack imagination, frankly. Lane improvements, as suggested by the New York State Department of Transportation, would likely require the acquisition of right-of-way from adjacent property owners and other impacts. More significant impacts will be injuries to people and damage to property, but the state has their standards. And as a result, though, the town will not be authorizing the study at this time. There's no reason to spend that money when we know the answer is no. We're going to continue to look at other options. to get that. But last, on a very positive note, we saw the presentation from Stan Tech in the Reconnect Rochester Complete Streets Makeover. Monroe Avenue earned a design treatment in the Complete Streets contest. Resident Carl Marsilio wrote a compelling entry in that contest, earned us the Design Rendering Award, and Stan Tech presented it to us with a very thoughtful phased approach to how the state DOT could reconfigure Monroe Avenue to make it a much more appropriate and significant entry into our community, one that accommodates bicycles, one that accommodates transit without clogging the roadways, without creating complications. In fact, the recommended changes to the configuration of Monroe Avenue from Highland Avenue to 12 Corners would actually smooth traffic flow, reduce excessive speed, and enable all users, our walkers, our Orthodox community who use that roadway on foot and with strollers on Saturdays, especially our bikers, all the neighbors who are in the neighborhoods on either side of that stretch of Monroe Avenue. Everyone will be able to use that, not just the folks who are zipping through from the city center out to Pittsford in a rush to get things done. So with that presentation, the Stan Tech will be finalizing the details on that. We will have that presentation and other supporting documentation from previous design renderings for the rest of Monroe Avenue in hand to be able to advocate with the state DOT for some significant improvements to our what is essentially our main street. So watch for that to be posted on the town website in the near future, and stay tuned for what we'll be able to do with the state going forward. The next meeting will be June 7th at 9 a.m. The public is always welcome, and that is all.
Thank you, Christine, and thank you for your advocacy for these various important infrastructure planning projects and projects. It's very challenging. The town of Brighton does not control most of the streets and highways, or at least most of the arterial streets and highways in town. Monroe Avenue is a state road. Winton Road is a county road. Elmwood is a county road. We are severely limited in our ability to do anything along those rights of way other than advocate in a very forceful but fact-driven way. And that's what you've done, and that's what Carl did in submitting his proposal. There's an awful lot to like in what we saw on that project. There's an awful lot to like in the cycle track, in the notion of a better left turn arrangement at Winton and Monroe. And I appreciate all your advocacy and the advocacy of others in trying to move the ball forward. It is not easy. The crazy quilt of highway control makes it very, very difficult, but thank you for your voice. Okay, that completes our committee reports. Moving on to new business. Jason, reading and approval of claims.
Yes, Bill. Earlier today, I reviewed claims totaling $357,322.23. Notable claims include to Exxon Enterprise Incorporated in the amount of $41,394, representing payment for year 2 of 5 for the police department's body camera program as outlined in the board approved contract. Also to Bond, Shonick and King in the amount of $45,000, representing the down payment per the agreement for the land acquisition, which is $45,000 of the $1.845 million purchase price. Also to the New York State Comptroller, the amount of $25,348.25, representing the payment of the state and county portion of April 2022 court fees and fines collected. And the town of the April 22 court fees and fines, the town was able to keep $11,732.75. And to the University of Rochester in the amount of $4,900, representing annual payment for the Employee Assistant Program services as per the board approved contract. And finally, to Waste Management of New York in the amount of $95,269.49, representing payment per board approved contract for refuse removal services for the refuse districts in various town locations. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Second, Robin.
Any discussion on the claims? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Christine, the next matter, please.
Yes, the next matter seeks to declare one 2005 Chevy Silverado as surplus to be sold at live or online municipal auction on May 14th, 2022. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Can I have a second? Jason, was that you? I think I heard.
I think Chris beat me to it.
That's as you see in the letter, that's a highway department vehicle that has exceeded its useful life. We have a motion and a second on that. Whoever made the second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Next matter, Jason.
Yes, the next matter seeks to amend the 2022 budget to reflect increased funding from New York State through PAVE NY, Consolidated Highway Aid, CHIPS, and Extreme Winter Weather Recovery. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second, Robin.
Mike, you lay it all out in your communication. We've gotten some additional funding from the state from these existing programs. We've got a separate matter coming up next for a new program, but obviously it helps to get more state money. As we discussed in the Public Works or the Finance Committee meeting, probably some of those extra funds will be taken up by additional costs. Anything you want to add to that one?
No, Supervisor, I think you summarized it very well.
Thank you. Then we have a motion and a second. Anything further? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye, and why don't you do the next one as well, Jason?
All right, this is the new matter. The next matter seeks to amend the 2022 budget to reflect funding from the New York State Pave Our Potholes, POP program. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second. Oh,
I heard Christine. And this is a new program for additional state money, primarily intended for exactly that, potholes. We got a few of them. Further discussion at all? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye, and just to, provide some additional information, the amount of money on that new Pave Our Potholes program this year for the town of Brighton is $46,879. Christine, the next matter, please.
Yes, the next matter seeks to approve the promotion of Zachariah Potter from laborer to skilled laborer effective May 16th and subject to a 26-week probationary period. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Can I have a second?
Second, Chris.
This is an internal promotion. Mike, do you want to talk briefly about this one?
Sure, Supervisor. We've had, right now we have 2 skilled laborer positions open. This position itself has been open for quite a while. Zach has been working, trimming trees, taking care of our urban forest, so he's very familiar with it. Through the interview process, it became apparent that he was the most qualified for the position. So he's going to be promoted from a laborer to a skilled laborer if the board approves this tonight. I think he's a good candidate. He'll do a great job for us.
Great. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Robin, next matter.
Certainly, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a renewal agreement with Bureau Architecture PLLC services related to the update and preparation of the cultural resources surveys in an amount not to exceed $600 per property survey update and $2,200 per new survey. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second, Christine.
And the HPC has worked with Bureau for many, many years. They're a well-regarded firm with particular expertise in the area of historic properties. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Chris?
Bill, the next item is to set a public hearing for proposed speed limit reductions in the Meadowbrook neighborhood of Roby, Avalon Park, Mead, and Rock Hill subdivisions.
Good result that we're going to have over there than I did, but thank you. The conservation easement that is before you will preserve a stretch of land adjacent to the laser lab where there is particularly sensitive habitat and some wildlife. And the University of Rochester will be preserving that area under this agreement in perpetuity unless some future town board decides to amend or change in some way that conservation easement, and then could only do so with the advice and consent of the planning board of the town. So I'm happy to answer any questions the board members have, although I believe we did discuss this at a recent Public Works Committee meeting, as Christina has mentioned.
Thanks, Ken. And you're right to acknowledge the work of our good friend Ramsey Boehner and the rest of the department on getting us here. Any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, then Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, I did a lot of talking before, so I've covered most of those matters. The state of the town address I will be giving at our next meeting 2 weeks from tonight. And then I also want one more time to remind everybody this coming Sunday, our electronics recycling and secure document shredding program, which so many people rely on every 6 months or so. Any matters of the town attorney?
Two brief matters. First, just an update, which is no news really, on the governor's executive order allowing virtual meetings. That order expires May 15th, that's Sunday. So I'm hoping that we'll hear something by close of business this Friday, the 13th of May. Our planning board is scheduled to meet next Wednesday. And of course, the planning board member, the public, our staff all need to know whether that meeting is virtual or live. I expect with the COVID numbers that we've been seeing that Governor Hochul will further extend the deadline. Now I'm frozen.
Okay.
I don't know what you heard, if
Now-
anything.
Yeah, we heard it all, actually, and we still hear you. Okay. Well, that was an important piece of information that we'll wait and see how our meetings can be held, but we'll presume that we will continue to hold them remotely. I'll go now to the town clerk if Ken unfreezes, because you look fine at our end. But we'll give you a note. Now you're muted. But go ahead, Dan.
How
Well,
about now?
Now you're good.
Good.
So if you want to do that second point, and then we'll go to Dan.
nope. Okay. So, just it's coming up to solicitor. We're already in solicitor season, and just want to remind folks. As of this moment, we have no approved people out on the streets. You can always check townofbrighton.org/solicitors if you ever have any questions. I'm curious if the person at your door has a valid permit or not. Again, as of right now, there is nobody, but I did have 2 companies come in this week, so I anticipate perhaps if you're watching a replay of this by the weekend, this point is moot, and they're already out there valid way. But until then, just again, always townofbrighton.org/solicitors if you ever have a question.
Thank you, Dan. And I think it's a good reminder because this summer season, warm weather is the busy season for those solicitors. Even if they have a permit, remember, you do not have to open your door. It's your home, that's your right. So if for whatever reason you really don't feel like talking to whoever it might be, you don't have to. But if you do, you are absolutely encouraged to ask them, do they have a permit from the town? If they don't, call 911. If they don't, tell them you're really not interested in talking to them, and you can call 911. They are required by town code to have gotten a permit before they go out. And by the way, they have to have every solicitor has to have a copy of the permit on their person when they knock at your door. So if they tell you, oh, it's in the car, or if Joe has it, the other guy, no. If a solicitor doesn't have the permit with him, they're not soliciting properly under the law.
And even more specifically than that, they get a laminated badge with their picture and company on it, and the year is all right on that badge. And there's a QR code on the badge as well. So if you scan that, it brings you right to that solicitor page and confirm that they are current. So so that's how they're carrying the permit at this point. That qualifies.
Yep.
And Bill, it's just not a matter of licensing, that sort of thing. The whole idea is that the information is being collected by the town clerk. If you have any kind of difficulties or need any callback or whatever, they've got that information. And
Right.
it's for our own protection.
I will note that there are a couple of groups that are exempted from having to go through that permitting process. Religious groups, politicians, but still they have to follow. You can't knock on the door at 11 o'clock at night. So, okay, thank you, Dan. Any matters of the town board? Then can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person?
So moved.
Second, Jason.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye, I do not anticipate we will be coming back out into open session and conducting any further business after this executive session. So we will see you at our next meeting, which again, right now we think will be remote, but we don't know that for sure, on May 25th at 7 p.m. I want to thank Heather and Allie again, our ASL interpreters. And I'll ask Paula to stay with us for this matter. It should be quick. And wish everybody else watching a great evening. Enjoy this wonderful spring weather. Have a good night all.